Hello everyone, David here and welcome back to BrickVault. Today is a special day for me because we have an all new ATTE in front of me. It's one of my all-time favorite vehicles in all of Star Wars and I am so happy to say that we got the instructions for the best LEGO version out there available for sale on our website starting right now. And I'm not exaggerating, I'm so excited to show you, but first let's take a quick look at what this walker even is all about. This incredible model was created by the talented designer BrickVault, who we are really happy to work with on their first model on BrickVault. Their ATTE comes in two different variations. The all-grey version with the dark bed only visible at the front was featured in all of the live-action Star Wars content like episode 2 and 3, and the one with all the cool red markings all over it can be seen in the Clone Wars series. This is where this vehicle really got to shine and where, may I say, probably all of the prequel fans fell in love with this tank design. Its six-legged appearance not only looked really cool and bug-like, but it also served a purpose in universe. As the name already suggests, this vehicle was perfect for missions that needed to be carried out on unstable terrain, and its wide stance was perfect for that. It has claws on its feet that were able to bury themselves into the ground, or more vertical terrain for better grip, and they could even magnetize to metal surfaces. It could carry up to 20 clones, and some versions even had a ramp at the back for deploying AT-ATs into the battle, which is like the coolest feature ever in my opinion. And I'd say BrickVault's ATTE does deliver on all fronts. But before I show you all the cool angles and features of this masterpiece, I want to do you a favor, because right after watching this video you probably want to build this for yourself or at least take a look at all the amazing techniques that the designer used. So for that you can head on over to our web store brickvault.toys, which is linked in the description of this video as well, and that's where you can find the instructions and parts list for this and many more models. Getting the parts for it on Bricklink is as easy as saying ATTE 3 times really quickly. And we also have a video guide on our website that helps you with ordering all pieces if you do run into issues with that. With your purchase, you also support us as well as the incredible designers we work with like BrickVault. So that's www.brickvault.toys, and let's get back to the video. I try to not let my bias for the model blind me here, but I think this model is objectively really good, and I really can't find anything about this model that I don't like. All the angles have been captured perfectly with minimal gaps between panels. The building experience was nice. I assisted my brother a bit with the 2,500 parts build, and having played around with the model for a couple of weeks already, I gotta say that I'm really in love with this thing and really impressed with what the designer was able to accomplish. Here are some other minifig scale models that I have in the studio next to it. Looks really nice, especially next to the AT-OT or gunships. BrickVault also made a blueprint that compares their model to the in-universe thing, which is really cool to see. You can see the dimensions of the ATTE flashing by right now. Here's a cookie as reference, and I also made some quick shots before I converted the model to the Clone Wars version, because personally I think it looks a little more interesting with all the dark red markings. It was a quick process, switching a few parts here and there. The default model you have the full parts list for is the full grey one. And for the red markings, BrickVault just included another parts list with all the additional parts you need to convert it, so you can get both and make the switch between the two versions whenever you feel like it, without having to buy two ATTEs. I really like the combination of snot, which means studs not on top, and plates. In my opinion, it has the perfect balance between smooth and studded surfaces, so you can definitely see that it is still LEGO, which some of you pointed out that that's important to you. We have some interesting indentation on the armor plating, which is accurate to the movies too. This model doesn't just look really good, but it's also surprisingly playable. It has a bunch of features, but the first one that I'm gonna show you really blew my mind when I first saw it. No, your eyes didn't deceive you, there's a whole AT-AT stored inside of it, just like in that episode in the Clone Wars. I was really impressed that BrickVault was able to achieve that without sacrificing the look of the roof, for example, or the interior space. I'm gonna get back to that in a second, but since I have it in my hands right now, here is the build for the AT-AT, which can fit a driver too, of course. I'd say this is probably really close to actual minifig scale. These walkers weren't large at all, it's just that some people get influenced by the look of the official LEGO sets to an extent that they believe that that's how the source material looks like. I was a victim of that myself for some sets, but if you look at the quote-unquote real thing, you can see that the size that the designer went with here is pretty accurate. You have two AT-AT versions included with the ATTE download, this one being the 501st version, and you also have a regular version with green highlights. Yeah, and you can just fold it up like this really quickly, place it onto the platform, and up it goes. Such an ingenious design. But let's open this thing up and see how it looks on the inside. We have a fairly spacious interior with room for about 8 clones sitting down, and you can probably fit at least 4 more clones standing up. In the back here you can also see the space that the AT-AT occupies when it's loaded up, it actually doesn't affect the rest of the interior too much. We also have a couple of consoles and computers here, which is nice. And while we're here, I gotta appreciate the build for the middle section here. Putting both roof panels back on, we can take a closer look at the cannon, which can be rotated 360 degrees and also up and down. I love the different angles here for the armor plating, and of course you can see the clone here as well. On the back roof section you have a hatch that can open for clones to easily exit and enter the tank. You have 6 ball turrets on the model, which all can be moved around, and between the front ball turrets we can find the cockpit section, which is a really interesting build. Getting into the cockpit is not difficult at all, but placing a minifig into the seat is a little tricky. The cockpit looks amazing though, really unorthodox width because I haven't seen anyone not using the regular 4 stud wide design here. You can see me here trying to get a clone minifig in the driver's seat. Like I said, a little tricky, but it works. There is enough space for one and it feels really good reassembling the cockpit around him. There's also room to put a second figure behind the driver too. And it just looks the part once everything is back together. Here's also a quick shot of the underside, which has details as well. All 6 legs are posable. I like to keep them in this normal position though, but what I find really interesting as well and wanted to highlight quickly here is that the middle legs are on some sort of rail. You can raise or lower the whole leg assembly by turning this Technic piece. Really interesting stuff. Also, as you may know, I was the person behind the first ATTE model on this channel back in 2019, and I still have the very first model ever built of it here in the studio, so I thought that would be the perfect time to compare the two, to show you what an improvement this model by Boosker really is. First thing that jumps out is the size difference. I say this many times, minifigure scale is not just one correct scale. Minifigures themselves are really weirdly proportioned as they're wider than they are tall, so you can go with the height of a minifig or the width to determine the quote-unquote minifigure scale of the model you're looking at or currently building. Most people go with the height, as that's easier to do and makes the most sense, but I went with the width of a minifig and Boosker probably with the height, so that's where the size difference comes from, I'd say. It's astonishing though that despite their model being way smaller, it's still so much more detailed, and heck, it does fit a whole minifig scale AT-RT. It also very much eliminates the weakness of my older model where it would sometimes break under its own pressure. Not an issue here at all with Boosker's model, as you can see, and generally it's pretty obvious which one takes the cake here in my opinion. I'm just really happy to have this new version available finally. Last but certainly not least, I need to show you of course how it connects to a certain dropship model. You gotta wait until Wednesday for a full breakdown of that feature and model though. So yeah, that's the all new ATTE for ya. What a model! Like I said, I can't really find anything bad about it, apart from maybe the rather tricky cockpit accessibility, although it looks so on point, and of course maybe the price of getting the pieces as always, but like, it's actually pretty good for a custom model, and damn, this model is amazing, and it will become even more amazing once the dropship is available on Wednesday too. If you want to build this beauty of a Lego build yourself, you can get the instructions and parts list on BrickVault.toys, or click the link in the description below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful that I am able to build models like this for a living right now. So thank you to everyone who supports us, even if you're just watching this video until now. Let me know in the comments below what models you would like to see us make. Please consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on any future builds and videos. And we'll see you next time at BrickVault.